So today's topic is, when is it time to let go? So when is the right time to let go? So to move on from your role, your employer, maybe your team, onto pastures new. And what are the reasons to stay? In fact, are the reasons you were choosing to stay the right ones for you? Or are they coming from a place of fear? So I wanted to discuss this in a bit more detail and share with you some insights around this and give you some food for thought if you may be in that position right now, or it's something that might come up in the future, or it's a place that you've been in the past, which I'm sure you have been, in which case give some thought to this and ask any questions and let me know what resonates with you. And I'm just going to check very quickly that this is streaming okay into LinkedIn. My LinkedIn isn't, there you go, it's updated, so it's all good. So I've prepared some notes as always, so I'll be referring to them. So as I said, it's about knowing the right time to move on. And here's my first invitation to you, is to ask yourself why. So what is your motivation for looking for something else, whether it's internally or externally? Because it's always important to understand the why behind what we're doing, not just go do it and then it's like, oh, well, actually, that was a big mistake and maybe I should have stayed there and so forth. So understanding, first of all, what is your why? What is your motivation for wanting to move? And there are a number of things that could be the reason, right? And there's no right or wrong here. I'll give some examples for you. So it could be that you've been in a role for so many years and you become bored, it's stale, it's not challenging you anymore, you're not learning anything, and you just want something new. You want a new challenge. It could be you're feeling frustrated on so many levels. There could be so many reasons for that. It may be that the role is no longer the role you were promised. It could even be from the start, it wasn't the role that you were promised at interview, so you're not happy in there. It could be that there's been significant change, which is often the case, particularly now with the current working landscape and how the world has changed. There is so much change going on around us all of the time. And it could be that the people have changed. Maybe you have a new manager and you're not really gelling with them, you're not bonding with them as well as you had with the person who hired you. It could be that the team dynamic has shifted. So it could be a number of different things in terms of the change, and particularly around the people. And so that could be a reason as to why you're thinking, actually, it's time for me to move on. Let me know if any of this resonates with you. What other reasons are there? So it could be that the company has changed, the company's evolving. Maybe the role has become way more difficult than it was before. It's challenging to get things done. There's a lot of bureaucracy and red tape. Perhaps the support that you previously had is lacking, or the culture has become toxic for many reasons. That could have been the case. So there are a number of things that could have happened that changed with a company at large that could be having you thinking, actually, it's time for me to move on. It could even be that you're no longer aligned with the values of the company. It could be that your values have changed, or that the company's values have changed, and there feels like a conflict there as an incongruency, and therefore you want to work for somebody who aligns with your own values. So it could be any of these reasons. Again, let me know if any of this resonates with you. What else is there? What other reasons are there? What motivations are there for you considering maybe changing role or leaving your current employer? It could be you're just experiencing a lack of growth, a lack of development within the organization. You're not seeing anywhere to go. It may be that there's no career path. You may have spoken to someone about it, your manager, and there just isn't anywhere else to go. Maybe it's a very flat management structure, organization, in which case there aren't a lot of levels further for you to go and people aren't leaving. So what are you going to do next? So it could be around the career path. It could be that you're in a stressful role. It's incredibly demanding, long hours. Perhaps you're experiencing burnout. It's impacting your health, your physiology. Again, a number of reasons. So you want to really check in with yourself and understand, what is it? What is the why? What is your motivation for actually wanting to move? And then once you've identified that, and it could be a number of those reasons, and there might be things I haven't mentioned. So think about all of the different reasons that have brought you to this place where you're now thinking, right, it's time to start looking around, or having conversations with people, or getting online, or looking on LinkedIn, or whatever the case may be. It may also be that you feel a lack of recognition. You're not getting a promotion, you're getting overseen when there's an opportunity, or overlooked, sorry, and then you're still in the same place, and people around you are getting promoted, they're moving up the career ladder, and you're not, and you're not getting a look in, you've had the conversation and nothing's changing. It may be that you're not getting the financial recognition. So whether that's a bonus, whether it's a pay rise, it could be any of these things. It could simply be you want more money, and that's it. So again, you want to really explore this and understand, okay, what are my motivations here for wanting to move? So again, if any of this resonates, let me know. If you've ever experienced this before, then share it in the comments. So those are some of the reasons why you may be looking to move. Now, equally, it may be you're not looking to move, that you feel really comfortable. So then my question to you would be this: what is it that stops you from moving, or from starting to look around? Now, comfortable is the word there, because you're in your comfort zone, and it may be that you've been in the same role for a number of years, or the same organization, and there's that comfort factor. You know the people, there's a perceived security of staying there. It could be that you feel appreciated. Maybe there's a lack of career development, a career path, but you get the odd carrot thrown at you, a little bit of appreciation or recognition, maybe an email or something. You think, oh, okay, well, I'll stay because they do really appreciate me. But now you're not looking or noticing or recognizing the bigger picture of, actually, when I embarked on my career, this was my vision. This is what I had in mind. And now I'm playing small because I'm in that comfort zone. And actually, I've been here for so long that now I'm scared to step out. And that's a natural human behavior, and it could be from a point of view of fear. It could be a fear of change. Most people fear change, although change is inevitable, and it's really important to embrace change, but people find it difficult. So therefore, what is it you can do to embrace that change? And what is the fear of? Is it a fear that maybe you're at an age where you think, not necessarily a fact, but it might be that you believe, we talked about beliefs earlier, that you don't have enough experience, or you're too old, or your abilities might not be appreciated or recognized there. You might not be able to do the job. You won't know everything. Well, of course you won't. My view is that when you're looking to move to a new role, you always want to have a proportion of it, maybe 30% or so, where it's something you haven't done before. It's something new, because that's where the growth and the learning comes in. Otherwise, why move? So that's my view. Doesn't have to, that's not the norm, or that isn't right or wrong, shall I say. It's a case of what's personal to you. So you want to be checking in with yourself. If you are thinking about moving, what is your why? What is your motivation for doing so? And if you're not, and maybe people have mentioned it to you, or you've been somewhere a very, very long time and you feel really comfortable, you've been in the same role or the same team for a number of years, there's no progression, and now here's the thing: some people will be happy with that, they're good with it, and that's okay. But if you're not happy with it, you want to explore that and understand what it is that's causing you that unhappiness, the frustration, the stress. And then again, going back to the original point of, what are the reasons that I may want to move? And how strong are those reasons? How important is it to you? And here's the thing to consider as well: how you're showing up in the workplace, and the way that you feel every day, whether you're working remotely or in the office, the way that you feel about your work, bearing in mind that it takes up 5 days a week. Yeah, it takes up maybe 35, 40 hours or even more hours of your life every week. Would it be possible that if you're not happy, if you are stressed, frustrated, burnt out, not happy, with where you're at in your career, in your job, is it possible that that is directly impacting on other areas of your life, perhaps without you even realizing it? Could be your health, your relationships, your family, your social life, your finances. It could be so many different things where there will be a direct impact. You cannot, I emphasize, you cannot compartmentalize your job and say, okay, well, it's really crap. I really don't enjoy it. I hate it. It's toxic, whatever it might be. But that's okay, because that's just that part of my life. Because here's the thing, it will be impacting detrimentally other areas of your life, whether you recognize it or not. Okay, so now what's next? So it could be, as I said, we've got two scenarios here. We've got the scenario where you are thinking about moving. And so I've invited you to think about what are the reasons? What are the reasons that you're actually looking to move? Because you want to get clear on that. On the other hand, it may be that you've been in the same place, the same role for a number of years, and actually you're so comfortable, you just can't be bothered, or you don't want to move, or you feel it's really secure. And a big reason that people actually stay in those situations is that they're waiting to be let go. They're waiting for their payoff, for their redundancy package. Now, I'll share with you a conversation that I overheard maybe about 15 years ago when I was at a social event at work. And a colleague of mine I overheard saying, so her and her partner had created this amazing life abroad, different country. So they were traveling back and forth, and it's in the Far East, so it's a lot of traveling. So they try and book the holidays around certain times of the year to be able to go and spend time there. And that was the ultimate dream, is to move out there. And yet I overheard my colleagues say, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to move out there permanently for another 10 years. So I sort of walked over and I said, I just heard what you said. I said, I'm curious, why is that? What is it that's stopping you? And the response was, well, I need to get my my final salary pension, so I have to stay for 10 years. And I thought to myself, goodness me, you're living your life based on a pension payout. You're living your life on the fact that you will get paid that money in 10 years' time. Who knows what will have happened in 10 years' time? Who knows what your health will be like? Your circumstances may have changed. You'd have forfeited 10 years of your life when you could be living your dream to hold on to that security of that pension, when in fact you could more than likely create that money in a different way. And it doesn't mean Groundhog Day, doesn't mean working all of the hours to create the pension that you miss out on. So you want to be a bit rational about your decisions, and also start thinking into, okay, is it just the money that's holding me there? And if that is the case, then what if I could create more? What if I moved elsewhere and I got paid a lot more money? I got bonuses, I got regular pay rises. Anything could happen. As I said to you, I took a 50% pay cut. And at the time that I took that, I had just secured a mortgage on my first home. So I was moving out of home and buying my first little house. And my mortgage had been calculated and determined on my higher salary. So my parents were having a hissy fit, because they were like, what are you doing? You're taking a 50% pay cut. You've just taken on a big mortgage. My view is it will figure itself out. It was all good. And it did, because I went into a role where I took a pay cut, but actually I was getting commission. And bear in mind, I've not had any experience of sales or recruitment, but I made commission that equated to far more than what I would have earned staying in my previous role. Now, that was a risk I took, but I had faith, and the risk worked out in my favor. It could have gone the opposite way, but I knew I would figure something out. At the same time, as I mentioned, it was the best decision I ever made to propel me forward in the rest of my career, was that jump, that leap of faith into recruitment. So again, actually, just adding to that, I chose to leave Hewlett Packard Enterprise 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, and I had a final salary pension, and I could have stayed for another X number of years to get that full payout. But for me, what is the opportunity cost of doing that? I didn't dislike my job. I didn't dislike the company. In fact, I loved what I did. I loved the people I worked with. I was challenged by the role, so I could have stayed. But it was a choice of, do I stay because I'll wait to get either made redundant or paid out, or do I go and make the choice and be empowered in my decisions to do what I want to do? And that's a whole different feeling. And I even remember at my leaving do at HPE, a leader that I had the pleasure of working with, we were having a chat about it, and I said, 16 years of service, I'm gutted that I couldn't get a payout. And he said to me, yeah, but you've done this on your terms. You're in control here. You've made the decision. And that is a whole different feeling. And when I stopped and really thought about it, it was true. I made the decision anyway. I was leaving, but I was a little bit missed out. And yeah, if I'd waited, maybe, and maybe not. Maybe I'll never get that payout and I'd still be there working today. But that's a decision or a risk I chose to take. The point is, it's understanding what is more important for you, because money will always come if you are entrepreneurial, if you know how to make your money work for you. If you're going to get another role, the money will come. Again, a lot of this is around mindset. And I talked earlier about how I work with people to help them to create the life that they want. And when we talk about it, it's a big part of what holds us back is mindset. And when it comes to money, a lot of people come at money from a place of lack of abundance. And you have lack, you have abundance. If you come at a mindset with money from a place of abundance, you will create more. I'm not saying you'll win the lottery tomorrow, but there will be things that will occur in your life that will enable you to create that money, whether it's investments, whether it's pay rises and bonuses and recognitions, or an opportunity that comes your way. It could be any of those things. But actually, remember when you were earning less and you still managed? You still were able to live and eat and have a roof over your head. So it may be that you have to take a compromise for a little while, and then it turns itself around in the same way that I did twice, when I went into recruitment and also when I left my job. Because when I left my career, I was starting my own business. So of course, I wasn't getting the regular income that I was receiving back then. So it's a lot here to think about, and I'm kind of going off on different tangents, which I hadn't planned to. So what I'd like to kind of circle backward on this is, what are your reasons for looking to move? What are your reasons for staying? And to just percolate on that a little bit and really understand yourself, understand what is motivating you, what is driving you, and what are your reasons for doing what you do. And then here's a couple of things I'd invite you to consider as well. If you are looking to leave, and now you've identified those reasons as to why you want to leave, okay, before you take that leap, before you start looking around or handing in your notice, ask yourself, who can you speak to within the organization to create the change that you want? So for example, if one of the reasons for wanting to move is that there's a lack of growth and development in the role that you're in, well, have you explored other roles? Have you spoken to your manager? Or if that isn't working, maybe speak to somebody else, to other managers of other teams, other hiring managers. Who else can you speak to within the organization to help address where you're at? It could be, maybe the dynamic has changed in the team. Maybe you have a new manager and you're not really hitting it off with that person. Okay, so what could you do differently? So by taking this into your own hands, what could you do to maybe look at improving that relationship? And if that isn't an option, or if you tried that and it's not working, are there other opportunities to move internally? Who could you talk to about it? Is there a problem? Perhaps you need to speak to somebody above them or to HR. So again, have you explored all avenues before you take that leap? And the reason I say this is twofold. One is it's something that I look back and think maybe I asked myself, was that a mistake? Very, very early on in my career, for a period of time, I was in a contracting role and I found myself working, no lie, I was working about 17 or 18 hours a day. Everyone else was going home at 5 o'clock and I was given all this work and I had to stay there through the night. When I say through the night, till about 11 o'clock at night working and coming in really early because I had so much workload. And it got to the point where I was feeling really ill. And eventually I was on a contract. I handed in my notice because I thought, I'm not accepting this. I was still studying my qualification. I was doing my finals. And that was my priority, to get through my exams. And I couldn't study. I was exhausted by the weekend. So I handed in my notice. And the financial controller at the time, when he heard that I had handed in my notice, he came to have a chat with me and he said to me, he said, you know what, if you ever find yourself in a situation like this again, go speak to somebody else. Because he knew, I told him I'd spoken to my manager, she wasn't interested. She said, that's your work, that's what you've got to do. And she happily, did her 9 to 5 and off she went. And he said to me, he goes, next time, he goes, did you really want to leave? And I said, no. I said, I really love the organization. It's a great opportunity here. There was a potential for a permanent role later on down the line. So it was a decision I made because my priority at the time was to complete my qualification and it wasn't going to happen if I stayed there. But I didn't explore other options. I just handed in my notice. And that advice stayed with me. To always explore, what are the alternatives? What are the possibilities? Because he said, had he known, he could have looked at it with me and looked at what we could have done to reduce my workload, to reduce my hours. Now, whether that would have happened or not, who knows? The point is, I didn't explore it. So something to consider, depending on the reasons or the motivations you have for looking elsewhere. The other thing I'd like to share is this. Have you considered the intangibles? Because oftentimes, as you know, the grass may look greener until you get there, until you arrive there. But here's the thing. What's actually green for you right now? Because there will be those reasons that are having you think, nah, I need to look around, I need to change job. But what are the positives? Because there'll always be one or two. So it could be, and these are things again for you to think about, is you may have been there a while, you've established yourself, you've proven yourself, you've got a good reputation. It will take time to build that up again elsewhere, unless you happen to be in a similar industry and people already know you. Your network is something that takes time to build up in a new organization. So are you prepared to walk away from that? And I'm sharing a lot of this with you from my own experience. When I was at HPE, I was approached on many occasions to move to other tech companies to do a similar role to what I was doing there for a lot more money. But I couldn't put a price on these intangibles that I'm sharing with you. So to give you the context, I knew that I had a sound reputation at the company I was at. I had established myself, I had proven myself, I had a proven track record, I had a good reputation. I also had an incredible network across the business, and even with our customers, our clients, our suppliers. So I had built that up over a long time, because remember, I've been there a number of years. To go and do a similar role in another company for some more money, but having to start all of that again, for me, no. The role still challenged me. I was still growing in the role and developing, because I always had new challenging clients, different situations, scenarios. So that wasn't an issue. The only reason I would have moved for those conversations I had was for the money. And like I said, I couldn't put a price on the intangibles. What else was there? There was the flexibility. I was fortunate in the flexibility. I had quite a long commute. So I was able to work at home once or twice a week. This is pre-COVID. And so that gave me that flexibility. Or if I had, a plumber coming or whatever, I could work from home to deal with that situation. So I had that flexibility, again, because I had that track record and I'd proven myself already. So it wasn't a big deal. I had the knowledge of an organization, which was a huge organization and quite complex in the way it operated. Again, how long would it take me to go figure all that out somewhere new? And also potential opportunities. So I knew there was always other opportunities there. So it wasn't a case that my growth or my career path was stunted. I knew if I wanted to look at something else, the opportunities could present themselves. And I knew enough people that I can go and have those conversations. So a lot of those things that I've mentioned there, for me, and this is a personal thing, this isn't the same for everyone, but I couldn't put a price on that. So for me to have to go and start a lot of that again from scratch and reestablish myself wasn't worth the extra money or the extra commute or having to now be in the office 5 days a week for the first 6 months to really prove myself and get my feet under the table. Like, no, this works, you know. And for me, as I said, it was still a challenging role. It always was. So it was good. My point here is this: it's not always just about the money. So think about those intangibles and also the people. I've always said it's your manager, having a great manager, that can make the difference in your experience in your job. So have you got a great manager? Have you got a great team that you work with, or your clients, whether they're internal or external clients? So all of these things they're intangibles, but think about those as well. And then compare those to your motivations for wanting to leave and weigh them up. So make an informed decision. Do your due diligence on yourself, on your situation, on your motivations, on your frustrations, on your intangibles, so that when you make that decision to start looking outside or into another team, it's an informed one and you're clear within yourself as to your why, as to why you're doing that. And also consider, if you've been somewhere a long time and you're simply waiting to be told to go, or you're waiting for that pension, ask yourself this: in 10, 15, 20 years time, when you look back on your life, will you feel fulfilled? Will you feel satisfied, happy with those decisions that you made? And I'm going to leave it there today. Do share with me any insights, any resonance, any questions that you have. I will come back and answer them. #replay if you're watching this on replay. And thank you for joining me today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I hope you found some value from this. As I always say, until next time, remember to build your influence, to make an impact, and to be remembered for the right reasons by showing up as the best version of you. And before I forget, do remember the link to grab your copy of the Personal Brand Playbook is in the comments, along with the link to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where there is a raft of content in there. There are, I think, coming up to about 50 podcast interviews, and there are the previous episodes of these lives on various topics. I'm sure there will be something there will be of interest or benefit to you. So do head over and check it out. And do check out the podcast with my amazing guests from the technology world. I look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week. Until then, enjoy the rest of the week. Take care.